Good morning to you. We are live at Horsemen's Park as myself, Johnny Ray Gomez. I'm old school handicapper using the daily racing form. And
I'm Carol Sutton, and I'm new school, and I use predictive form. And we're here to bring you some picks today. We've got a beautiful day out at Horsemen's Park, and we've also got the Preakness on the docket for today too. So we're going to cover the live races first, and then we're going to cover the Preakness last. So stay tuned, and we're going to go ahead and get started here. Johnny, do you want to kick us off with the first race?
I would like to, and kick off it is. Number one for me in the first race, Love at Night. It's a big favorite, folks, but I think it will get the job done. The 4 horse is interesting. I put it second, and by golly, at Fowler Park, this horse ran second to a very good horse, and so I go 1-4 in race number 1. How about you, lady?
I think the 1 is almost suspiciously good. I question why he's even in this race. He's coming off of a new pace top, and he's got the best times in the bunch, and he's got probably the top trainer here too, just statistics-wise. The 1 on top, 3-4 underneath, I think this is one we can just wrap up and move on. I think it should be a home run the first time out.
So we're done?
Done with the first race already, yeah.
We got to go to race 2.
We've got to go to race 2.
Oh my gosh. Race 2 at beautiful Horsemen's Park. By the way, we got 7 races and then on to the Preakness. Now this race number 2, I felt that a lot of speed in this race.
Yes.
And so I ended up with number 3 on top, Classy and Fit. This is a tough race, okay? The 5 horse likes to run second, if you notice, 8 out of 30 times, and it's got a very good record here at Horsemen's, in the money, first and second, 3 out of 3 times. And for my third selection, I went to number 9, Mongo Call. Now this will be the favorite in the race, and I'm trying to beat it and put it third. Number 4 is How's My Gold. This horse has made 168,000, and it has very good early speed numbers. And so I end up with 3-5-9-8, second race.
Johnny, we were trying to beat the same horse. We're both trying to beat that 9.
Yeah.
I think he can be beat, and I'm actually in love with the 7 on top here. And this is a predictive form thing that wouldn't actually appear in daily racing form. He's got a new pace top, meaning he is coming into his best possible form, and I think that this trainer can actually know that he's cycling correctly, and the important key with new pace top is you get him right back in the race as soon as you can, and he's coming into form. He should be peaking today is what I'm trying to say. I really like your 3. I like the 5. The 3, last week you had a very astute comment about watching the track to see if it's a speed favoring track, and it definitely was. I think 5 out of 7 races the speed horse won last Saturday when we were here, so that is something to watch out for. Now, granted, it's rained, but I think that we can almost bank on more speed after watching the races last night. So I think your 3 pick is a very safe pick for the speed. So
okay, for you, your numbers are
7 over the 3-5 over the 9-6, and then if you want a wild card, the 8. I'm not quite sure what to do with him. So
I threw him in.
I threw him in. Throw him in. Yeah. All right.
Let's go to race number 3. You're listening to Facebook Live from Horsemen's Park. We're taping this August 18th, 2018. And so this, no, today. We're live. Race number 3. The 9 horse in here, Joy Forever, by golly, couldn't handle Chambers Doors, who won a stakes race last week, and now drops into this field. Ooh. And so sorry to give you a favorite here, but I went to the 9, Joy Forever, to win. And the 10 is interesting to me. It's had a couple of good races, and I look for Jason Wise to improve. This horse, I watched the replay, and it was bumped hard at the break. Let's give it a shot. And then your 7, this is a first starter. If ever a horse is possible to win a race, Marvin Johnson has this one. And so let's go with number 7 to run third. And then I've got the 1 and 3 bracketed race 2. Oh, I forgot to put up race 3's thing. Nobody's perfect here.
No.
Here we go. Race 3.
Hey, those are good picks there.
Yeah, there we go. 9, 10, 7 with the 1 and 3. I feel like an idiot. 9, 10, 7 with the 1, 3 long shots to play in your superfecta. Huh? Good luck.
All right, so this race I thought was kind of a mess in some regards, but I hate to say I am in love with the 2 for this particular race. It is 8 to 1. I'm putting it on top of all the favorites. I'm going to play this race pretty hard. So the number 2 horse is coming into form, and his recent times and his recent form is just top notch. Could not be better. With that said, the 7 really scares me, the first time starter that you just mentioned. Out of that barn, you just don't know. His Tomlinson numbers are excellent. This horse is well bred. He could be ready to fire today. The other thing that scares me is there's 2 entries in here that are called soft entries. That's when a trainer enters 2 horses. And typically when a trainer does that, there's a rabbit and the hare. So he'll use one horse to burn out the speed up front and then use another horse to come through and slingshot around to try to hit the win. And here we have the 6 and the 8 coupled together and the 5 and the 10. I think the 6 has enough speed on his own as the rabbit that he might actually, I don't want to say accidentally win, but I think he could get the job done as the rabbit instead of the hare. So we're dealing with kind of a mess of a race, but if it is speed favoring, the 6 could legitimately win as the unintended winner, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So I've got the 2 over the 7 over the 9, 3, 1 for my plays.
Let's move to race 4. And of course, sponsoring the race is Casio's Italian Steakhouse in South Omaha. Great supporters of horse racing all through the years. Let's try to drag down a winner in here. I always try to pick out a best bet, but in a maiden race, I decided not to make the 8 my best bet of the day. It's a 3-year-old, but it ran against the in the Baxter Handicap. He's run at Houston, Remington Park. Sure has everything going, but let's try to beat him in here with. No, I put him on top, but not as the best bet of the day. Number 3, Historian, coming up from Will Rogers. I think this horse is on the improve. Throw out its last race, and he fits in here. The 1 horse, Masterpiece Day, and then the 7, Roger Tillman. The 4. Okay, Captain Amante. Let's do these again. 8, 3, 1, 4. I think I'm doing real smooth today. Captain Amante, only beaten by 3 lengths in its last race, and so change of distance for the 3. So anyway, 8, 3, 1, 4 for Casio's 4th race, Horsemen's Park.
Well, I think we've got our boxed horses here. I've got 4 over the 5, 3, 1 over the 8, and this is a race where, while I have the 4 on top because I think it's got the best final numbers, I can find a small fault with every horse in the bunch. So if I play this as a ticket like a pick 5 or pick 3, I'm taking all 5 horses. I wouldn't dare leave any of these 5 out. That said, the 5 is 10 to 1. I think that's your value horse. That's where you're going to find your money today. And the reason is he's first out after a layoff. I think his last out, I guess, was his first out after his layoff, and he had a great final number. And I think you can be very, very afraid of what he's going to do next out because he's set to, improve off of that significantly. And he's got excellent trainer, excellent jockey aboard today, and I think he might actually be able to win. And at 10 to 1, there's some real value there. So that's going to be my top play. And if, I absolutely have to narrow it down to 3 horses, which please don't make me do that. I love playing big tickets, but at the end of the day, the budget doesn't allow. I'm going to take the 5 as my top pick here for value.
Nice.
So.
Incidentally, predictor form, that is something that not everyone uses, and so Carol Ann can come up with some real long shots, and congratulations. Last week, young lady, you picked pick 5.
We did. We hit the pick 5 off of a $24 ticket here at Horsemen's, which was nice. But Johnny, you also were cashing tickets all day. I know that you had a win ticket, it felt like almost every race, and then you also hit the trifecta in the last race, which was the best paying trifecta of the day. So very astute.
Last night, on an $8 ticket, I've had 3 singles, Carol.
3 singles?
3 singles and 4 horses in the other 2 races, and for $8 collected over $270. So the pick 5 was easier. This day is much tougher.
It is, but congratulations on your pick 5 last night on an $8 ticket. Almost unheard of, folks. Almost unheard of.
All right, the 5th race, and one of the sponsors of Horsemen's Park Racing is South Point Casino in Las Vegas.
Ooh,
One
really?
of my big joys was being able to be out there a couple of years ago. Had a great time. 5th race, run over 6 furlongs, an allowance race, non-winners of 2. And to me, Las Vegas, how about Luck Check, number 6? It's the favorite, but it's turning back, change of distance, and we got Mr. Armando Martinez. Now, the 2-horse, Whiskey Storm is improving, and it's been first or second this year 4 out of 7 times. And now the 8-horse, the favorite, I think might be light in conditioning, off close to 50 days. Let's put it 3rd. And for my 4th horse, I went to the 9 in here, making my own rules, just sort of hanging around 4th, 2nd, 1st. Let's see if we can get an outside horse in that trifecta. For me, 6-2, 8-9.
All right, this race gave me fits last night when I was handicapping. So I'm going to put the logical contenders on top. I don't really feel like I need to say much about them because they are logical for all the reasons you just described. But I'd like to highlight some long shots here because these are coming off of predictive form, and I feel like no one can really see what I'm seeing here unless you have this form. So the 10 is coming off of a new pace top. That is the hottest designation that you can have. And this trainer is very astute, Rivera, with new pace tops. And not only is he bringing him back in and under the 30-day mark here, he is running the pattern that is exactly what you want to see in a horse that is being entered into a race like this. So I think the 10 at 20-1 has a very legitimate chance of winning, or at least coming in the money today. While his final times and some of his numbers, and certainly buyers don't show it, his velocity and the horse's condition is secretly coming along very nicely. The 1 horse also is set to run a really big race today. And granted, his workouts don't really impress me. His training, I'm not sure if this is what they're aiming for today. But he is set to run a really big race. So keep your eye on him, especially if the rail is hot, especially if early speed is hot. This horse could do it. And my other big beef here, I'd like to say, not to necessarily knock the favorites, but okay, with the 8-horse and with the 6-horse, especially with the 6-horse, this horse should be placed into a stretch out, not into a cutback. And that really bothers me. I feel like this horse would absolutely do a phenomenal job if it was placed into a stretch out instead. And some of these layoffs and things like that make me very nervous. The stat where this trainer, Black, is only hitting 0 for 28 in allowances makes me fairly alarmed that, going off in the favorites category, what are we doing here? Can we hit it with the 20-1? I think so. So I'm actually going to pull out a secret card here. This is how I really feel.
Secret card?
It's a secret card.
Oh, no.
So how I really feel is I feel like we should handicap it like this. All these horses on top, any of them has a legitimate chance today.
Okay,
so
go through
if you
them now.
want to play the name game, this is the race to do it. Pick out the initials of your name and pick horses to go with it. Johnny, that worked for you last week.
Yes.
If you want to have a friend bet who's never bet a horse before and pick out a name, this is the race to do it. They will probably hit it because this is the race where luck is on your side. The numbers that we're seeing here, you can make a case for every horse. You can make a knock against every horse. This is wild.
This will pay good.
It will pay.
So you're saying exactas then, right?
I'm saying exactas. I'm saying you can pick a win ticket on any of these long shots over here. You can combine this in any way you want. And whatever strikes your fancy. If a horse winks at you, pick it. Because honestly, this handicapping is, it's fairly difficult.
It is.
You can make a case for every horse. So
I like that. This is how I really feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
We're moving on to the 6th race, and this is for Jim and Joanne Clay. And thank you for buying a blanket and being part of our racing today. Run over a distance of 6 furlongs. And in here, I ended up with number 4, Toss Out his last race at 1 1/8 miles. He's won 6 out of 12, last year and this year. Got early speed, and so David Anderson hopefully gets to the winner's circle there. Number 2, Ferrari Road. Much trouble in its last race, and the 8-horse CO Little Joe as a long shot. I like 4, 2, 8 in the 6th race.
Johnny, I love your 2, 10-1.
Yeah.
Can't beat it for the value.
Yeah.
All right, so I like the 9 on top, logical contender. Absolutely is the favorite, probably should be. Has the best predictive form numbers coming in, has the best final figures, but the 2, just ran what's called a cyclical pace top, has the fastest 2 furlong time, meaning if this is a speed favoring track today, this horse should blow everyone out of the water.
Okay.
So I couldn't like this pick more at 10-1. I hope he holds at these odds because I will jump on it. This is another race too where I feel like there's a high degree of confidence in who's in this race and maybe who's not in this race, if that makes sense. So the 6, 7, 1, 3, I don't want to say leave them out. But I think that there's a big jump between the horses that are in and the horses that are out. So if this is one where you want to wheel, this is a good race to wheel because there's a lot of value in the horses that are definitely competitive and the ones that maybe aren't, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
So 9 over the 2, 5 over the 8, 10, and then the 4 is a logical contender that you mentioned also.
Carol, I forgot to mention that I did like the 9-horse to run third with the 8. I like 4, 2, 8, and 9. That is in the 6th race. Now we go to race number 7, and let's see here. In here, I ended up with the 5-horse Zapper Dan. Ran a good race against a good horse. He's 2 for 2 at Horsemen's Park, and the 7 is, let's see here for this. Oh, Medieval Medicine. It's the favorite. Be careful. It looks like it should win, but this horse has 2 wins out of 39 tries. Is
Ooh.
Today? Yeah. But he's been in Houston. He's been in Delta. He figures as the best horse. He's got Armando on him. 2 for 39. It's tough to pick on first. So anyway, 5, 7, and I think I went. Let's see. Excuse me. You go ahead, and I'm going to find my 7th race.
Sure. So this race, I've got another long shot on top that I really like. I love the 9. I am smitten. 3rd off a layoff. He's coming in. He's got a cyclical pace top, which is basically whenever an older horse gets raced back into shape, he's first with his trainer. He's brought right back into the money where he needs to be, and I think he can do it today. The 7, now that you bring up that statistic, I thought it was a logical contender that needed to go on top, but maybe I'll play the 7 a little later after your point that only 2 races out of how many was it?
39, but he towers over the field, doesn't he?
He does, but boy, that's just kind of a scary statistic. That makes me hesitate. That's
Yes.
reason for pause.
Yeah.
I also like the 2 horse quite a bit. It's a logical contender also. The only statistic here that scares me off from betting that horse more heavily is that the trainer's sprint to route statistic is only 8%, and it should be higher for this particular, for a race like this. However, he does have the fastest 2 furlong statistics in the field, so again, if it's speed favoring, knock on wood, the horse could hold for a whole mile. This is the horse that I would pick if it's extremely speed favoring and the pace doesn't melt. So I've got 7-9 over the 2, over the 3-5.
Okay.
All right.
I ended up with 5-7 all.
Ooh.
Okay.
That's fun.
Couldn't find a 3rd horse. Sorry. And I couldn't find my sheet either.
All right.
Well, that concludes the Horsemen's Park. And now we get to play with Pimlico, incidentally, live here, they're going into the third race. You better get to Horsemen's Park and bet the pre-races. I'm going to let you go first on this one. I've got to get my form to the Preakness, okay?
Sure. So, all right. To me, the 7 is the most logical contender, always mining. By far, grades the highest in predictive form, has the highest times, consistently good horse, easily has been winning its last several races. My big knock here is that it's been running at Laurel for like the last, I believe, 6 or 7 races. And how tough of a track is Laurel? That's not for me to say, but it does scare me that it hasn't been tried at these other tougher tracks like Keeneland. I love horses coming out of Keeneland. I feel like that's the true test of a horse's quality. The number 3 is my other big love here, Warrior's Charge. I love Brad Cox as a trainer. This horse grades extremely high on predictive form. He's got some of the highest final numbers. My only big beef with this horse is that he doesn't run reversals, meaning he goes straight to the front and should keep going. And because Brad Cox has 2 horses entered in this race, like we talked about earlier, the rabbit and the hare situation, I think the 5 might actually be the target horse too, so I'm keeping the 5 in one of my top tiers. I think both the 3 and the 5 are extremely dangerous here. I am not leaving them out of any bet I'm making today. I'm keeping both of them in. And Brad Cox, sometimes, while I think of him more as a turf trainer, I've seen him also enter races like this and his horses run 1-2 and win and come in second. 4 is a very logical contender and probable. However, he's running straight 77, 77, 77 across the board in predictive form. Has he hit his ceiling? That's my question. And yes, he is running numbers that indicate he could move off of this, but every race that he's ran numbers that indicate he's about to move forward, and he never moves forward. So at what point is he actually going to develop and turn into a better horse? I don't know. If anyone should be able to make a horse improve, it should be Bob Baffert. So I question the horse's just literal genetic ability to improve, and if he's going to be able to actually win today. And just for the record too, 12 and 13, Laughing Fox and another Twist of Fate and Win. Very obvious contenders. My only issues with them is they're just inconsistent. So they'll come out and they'll run a monster race, and then they'll switch and they'll run into so much trouble. 2 or 3 races in a row, it's hard to get a good feel for what their actual numbers are. And then they'll run another monster race, and then it's back out of nowhere. Their numbers will just plummet, and then we can't tell what they're really capable of. So they're kind of the wild cards in the bunch to me, and also their trainers don't have great histories with graded stakes. Their statistics scare me a little bit, whereas Brad Cox, Bob Baffert, tried and true in stakes races. They know what they're doing. They know how to prep horses correctly. So that's my take on it, but okay. I'm curious to see what you think.
Your selections are then?
Oh, excuse me. The 3-7 over the 4-5 over the 13 and the 12. And I'm playing against War of Will, and there's a reason for this. So there's a thing called a double top in predictive form, and that is when a horse is going to bounce and bounce hard. And that's when a horse runs his fastest part of the race, the best he's ever ran at his life, and the last part of the race, the best he's ever ran at his life. And he did that in the Derby, and he is, in my opinion, set to bounce this race. So we'll see. We don't know. He's young, so he could recover, but if he had 60 to 90 days off, I'd feel comfortable betting him. But in this case, I don't feel comfortable. So
okay.
But we'll see. He's young.
It's the Pimlico Preakness, worth $1,500,000.
Nice.
And in here, it's race 13. Get out here and bet it. This is what I ended up with, folks. I look for a chaotic pace. I'm talking a monster pace, and so I'm going with horses that will likely come from behind. And so I selected number 13 on top. That, of course, is Win. He ran against Tacitus, and I really like that horse. He was only beaten 2 lengths, and he was closing on him. That was down in Tampa. And the 2 horse, the faster they go early, then you know that my 2 horse will be flying. Notice what he did when the fractions were 22-4, 45-3, 110. He just about beat Code of Honor, who hit the board nicely in the Kentucky Derby, the 2 horse. So I like 13-2, and there's only 4 horses in the race that have carried 126 pounds, one of which is number 4, Improbable, to hit the board. So, underneath it, I like another 126 horse. That's the War of Will, the 2, the 4, the 5, Owendale. And Mike Wells says that this horse has been working out the best. And the 7 I like because there's always, looks like a local horse that hits the try or the super. We're going to keep in Always Mining, and then throw in 13 again, and then the same numbers, and try for a nice 50-cent trifecta. Or if you want to box these for exactas, you do your handicapping. We've done ours. I hope we've given you some ideas of ways to make money at Horsemen's Park. Carol, any closing remarks?
I do. I'd actually like to back up your pick with that 13. So this morning I actually talked to the person who owns and runs Predictiform, and that is his pick today.
It is.
It is. So I'm actually going against the owner of Predictiform this morning with my picks, and he thinks I'm out of my mind, but he agrees with you.
What is his number?
Yeah,
I got to talk to this guy.
So, Johnny, I think you might be onto something.
We hope so.
Yeah.
Carol Ann Sutton, she is new school.
New school,
and I am
Predictiform, and Johnny, you are
old school. I use the daily racing form. Thanks to Horsemen's Park for having us. You're going to have a great day. Weather. Stay away. Let's have some fun. Band afterwards. Let's have a great time and enjoy the Preakness and 7 big races at Horsemen's Park. Thanks, Carol.
Thank you. Good luck today.
See you next week.